A strange house was locked up in the woods for 30 years. Michael Landon built it as a sanctuary for himself, but after he died, no one went inside. Locals talked about it in secret for many years. The windows were blocked by vines. The door was locked tight. The key was finally found. Everyone was shocked by what they found inside. Private items, secret letters, and something that showed his deepest secret. He didn't want anyone to find out the secrets in the house. He was born in Forest Hills, Queens, on October 31, 1936. It was Eugene Morris-Ewitz that he was real. He had an American Jewish father who was an actress. His mom was a dancer who was Irish and Catholic. Their marriage was tense. There were always fights at home over religion. Evelyn was Eugene's sister and was born 3 years before him. The family moved to Carlswood, New Jersey in 1941. Eugene was only 4 years old. He would have a hard childhood because of that small town. Eugene never felt smart, even though his IQ was very high. It was hard to go to school. His classmates picked on him. He was hard for teachers to understand. It didn't help that the town was there. It was very hostile toward Jews. Every Wednesday, he had to stay home while Christian kids went to church. He remembers cleaning blackboards by himself and thinking about why he had to be different. He never got over that feeling of being turned down. What happened at home hurt more, though. His mother had serious mental health problems. She tried to kill herself many times. He saw things that kids shouldn't see. She tried to kill herself one time while on a family beach trip. Gene, who was only a boy, ran in after her. He felt waves hit his chest. He screamed. He hit her in the face to get her to stop. She didn't act like it happened. But Eugene threw up afterward. He was scared to death. There were a lot of scenes like this. He talked about it as a suicide play for days. It was a mess. He was never safe. He was still in pain. Eugene made the bed wet. He wasn't to blame. It was about health. His mother didn't believe him, though. She thought he did it because he was lazy. That's why she punished him badly. His wet sheets were hung outside his window. The school bus stopped right in front of our house. Every morning, his friends saw. He was put down over and over again. Eugene did his best to stop it. He'd get up early, grab the sheets, and head to the laundromat to wash them. Then he'd sneak back home. He tried to get in even when it was locked. He couldn't handle the shame. She sent him to a sleepover one time just to see how he would do. It would be worse if he wet the bed there. She told him he was lying the whole time if he didn't. He lost. After many years, he made a movie about this fear. People called it The Lonely Runner. It was how he told the truth. Even though he was in a lot of pain, something gave him hope. Sports, he felt calm when he threw the javelin. His aim was clear and he was strong. He threw the javelin 193 feet 4 inches in high school. In 1954, that was the longest throw anyone in high school could make in the whole country. He set a new national record by throwing 211 feet 7 inches the next year. Suddenly, people began to notice him. People used to make fun of the same boy who was now in the news. A teacher said that he was a strong kid with broad shoulders. Eugene thought that was magic. He felt seen for once. He got a free pass to go to the University of Southern California. He really wanted to go to the Olympics. One thing he did believe was strange. Like Samson in the Bible, he thought his long hair gave him power. People on his team didn't believe him. They gave him a crew cut as a joke. His shots missed by 50 feet. He freaked out. He worked too hard while trying to get better. He tore some ligaments in his shoulder. His time as an athlete was over. He was done with college. His dreams fell apart right away. He was once again lost. He did odd jobs to make money. His job was to sell blankets, fill shelves, and unload freight. A friend asked him to help practice lines for an acting test one day. He was better than his friend when he read the part. A talent agent saw something good in him, but there was a catch. It sounded like he was Jewish. He did something risky because that could hurt his hopes in Hollywood. He looked in a phone book. Michael Lane was taken. After that, he saw Landon. It didn't move. Eugene Morris-Ewitz changed his name to Michael Landon. He got a part on Telephone Time only 4 months after that change. After a few movies, he became famous for a strange little horror movie he made in 1957. It was called I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Michael played a teen who had problems and went bad. People were shocked by the idea. There had never been a scary movie with a young werewolf before. The movie made almost $2 million, but it only cost $123,000 to make. It became a huge hit. Hollywood was impressed by how hard he worked on the role. Then there was the story of Tom Dooley in 1959. Michael played a Confederate soldier who attacked a stagecoach by chance because he didn't know the war was over. A hit folk song gave the movie its idea. It was based on a true story. It was sad, beautiful, and dramatic. He played it very well. He showed he could lead a Western in this part, which came just months before his big break. Everything changed that year. Someone called him about a new TV show. It used to be called The Restless Gun, but the name was changed to Bonanza. Michael was chosen to play little Joe Cartwright, the third and youngest child. Bonanza wasn't just another Western when it first aired on September 12, 1959. It was the end of TV for good. It was the first Western movie ever shot in full color. A lot of people still had black and white TV, but NBC was already planning for the future. They thought that the stunning scenery around Lake Tahoe and the Ponderosa Ranch would make people want to move up. It paid off that bet. Soon everyone had a color TV, and Bonanza was the first show to do it. It took about $1 million to make each show, which is about $100 to $150,000. With that much money, the show had a movie. Look, that was the first of its kind on TV. There was more to Bonanza than just pretty scenery, though. It was about people, and there was one person who stood out, John Michael Landon. People all over the world loved his figure, Little Joe. Landon was getting fan mail from 64 of the 70 countries where Bonanza ran by 1966. He got a lot more letters than any of his co-stars, more than 50 a week. There were letters in every language you can think of. Fans thought that Little Joe really got them. He laughed and said that he could now say, "I don't speak your language," in both German and Swedish. All he had to do was learn Japanese. Landon had a dream of becoming famous as a javelin thrower many years ago. He had no idea that strangers would know him as an actor, let alone in so many languages. It didn't take long for Bonanza to become the most popular show. After only one season, it made it into the top 20. The first year, it wasn't even in the top 30. It was number 2 by the third season. And by season 6, 1964-1965, it was the top show. It got a 36. 3 rating that year, and more than 19 million people watched it every week. A time in early 1964 when a lot of people were watching TV. Almost 60% of them were watching Bonanza. There was no other show that even came close. Bonanza was the most popular show on TV for 3 years in a row. Several other networks tried to fight back. The Judy Garland Show, My Living Doll, and the Joey Bishop Show all began on CBS. They didn't work at all. It was impossible to stop the Cartwrights. It stayed in the top 10 for 11 years and the top 20 for 12 years. The group was just as close behind the scenes. Lorne Greene, who played Ben Cartwright, felt like a real father to the character most of the time. Michael Landon and Dan Blocker, who played his kids, went to him for advice all the time, both on and off the set. Even better, Greene helped him, Landon and Blocker, get contracts that made all 3 of them rich. Not everything was great, though. In the early days, director William Claxton called Landon a spoiled brat, and Pernell Roberts, who played Adam Cartwright, was always in a fight with the producers. He quit after season 6 because he didn't like the writing. He and Blocker became good friends, though. They even bought a house on the beach with Greene. Landon's power grew as the number of people who liked him did. It wasn't until 1962, that he was 25, that he was able to get the network to let him write a story. He believed it would be simple. He was wrong. It took 2 long days to write that first story. He was so worn out from writing it that he didn't feel like writing another one for almost 3 years. But after getting past that obstacle, he discovered a new love. He said that writing wasn't easy in TV. It was okay for directors and players to cut corners sometimes, but not for writers. By 1968, Landon had added director to his name. He was now starring, writing, and directing when he was only 31 years old. That guy brought new ideas to the show and was always true to the people he worked with. He put his trust in the same group of people on Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, and Highway to Heaven. Landon did more than just play around with the camera. He was making a name for himself as a storyteller. He became one of the most powerful people on TV because he looked at things from every angle. Things changed, though, in 1972. Dan Blocker, who played Hose, died suddenly days after surgery to remove his stomach. He was only 43 years old. Everyone was very sad about his death. Green and Landon were especially upset. They had looked out for each other like family for 13 years of work together. Green said it was like a family member had died. Green was shocked when NBC chose to keep Bonanza going without Blocker. He told them later that he thought the show should have been canceled right then. It wasn't the same without Hose. In September of that year, the first show of the new season aired. The show was called Forever, and it was supposed to be Hose's wedding. As soon as Blocker died, Landon had to quickly redo it. It was sad what happened. In the new story, Little Joe's wife and brother-in-law are killed in a brutal crime, and he sets out to find the person responsible. There were a few quiet tributes to her in the show. In one scene, Joe and Ben cry together, which is very different from how they usually act. A framed picture of Hose on Joe's desk also had a slow zoom. The show was one of the most memorable in TV history, and it got the fourth most viewers that week. It was clear that viewers also needed to say goodbye, but that great episode wasn't enough to save the show. NBC made a mistake that killed them. They switched Bonanza from Sunday nights to Tuesday nights. The crowd didn't pay attention. The show quickly fell from number 4 to number 39 and then to number 52 after a long time. NBC stated on November 6, 1972, that the show would no longer be airing. Green was very angry. He learned about it on Monday and was told to leave by Wednesday. He told her, "You don't do that to anyone. Anyone who cleans the streets gets a week's notice." A few days later, NBC tried to change its mind, but it was too late. The sets were taken apart already. On January 16, 1973, the last show aired. Bonanza finished after 14 years and 431 episodes, but there wasn't a proper goodbye. The last show wasn't even the end. The ending felt rushed and cold for a show that used to be the most popular on TV. The stories of Bonanza and Michael Landon didn't end there, though. Landon would go on to make 2 more hit shows and star in them. People will always remember Bonanza for more than just its color, numbers, or characters. They will also remember it for how it helped change television itself. In 1974, American TV was full of cop shows, chase scenes, and loud comedy. Michael Landon, on the other hand, wanted something more serious and quiet. He didn't take a break after 14 years on Bonanza. He was afraid to go into uncharted area, so he did. NBC wasn't sure. It wasn't easy to get people to watch a show about a pioneer family in the 1008. Hundreds, but Landon had a lot of power. He used the fact that he had just signed an exclusive deal with NBC to get Little House on the Prairie made. The last push came from inside his own home. The books were being read by his daughter, and his wife loved them. That personal link turned into his pitch. NBC finally agreed to a test that would last 2 hours. In March 1974, it aired. By September 11, the show had a spot every week. Landon was more than just the star. He was in charge of everything. From 1974 to 1983, he was in charge of all 204 shows. He wrote a lot of them. And he directed a lot more. Moving quickly, he didn't stop for second takes very often. He just said, "print," and moved on when something worked. He took over the show, his voice, style, and ideas. He kept the story going with 3 more TV movies after the show finished. Landon was no longer just a main man at that point. He was one of the most important people in TV. He did it with help. Landon stuck with his team. He took his people with him when he left Bonanza. It was made by producer Kent McCree, director William Claxton, and musician David Rose. They followed him to Highway to Heaven and then to Little House. All 204 shows had music made by Rose. He also made sure that his friend Victor French had a place to stay. He first played Mr. Edwards and then his co-star on Highway to Heaven. He even bought Christmas presents for everyone on the Little House crew with the money he got from NBC for calling the Rose Parade every year. It wasn't a loud move, but it said everything. But behind the scenes, not everything was so kind. Karen Grassel, who played Ma Les, got into a tough fight to get paid fairly. The show was a top 10 hit in 1975. Still, Landon stopped her raise. He told her that the network didn't like her character. He even said she should get paid the same as the kid actors. Grassel felt bad about himself. On top of that, Landon began limiting her screen time. She was in a lot of shows for less than 8 minutes. That cut her payments for a while. She used to get only $127 per run. She felt trapped for more than 2 seasons. Because of her contract, she couldn't leave because that would have been bad for her job. It wasn't just about money. Landon started to act badly. Grackle said that he made rude sexual jokes during practice. Before shooting a bedroom scene, he made some very rude comments about women. She stopped moving. Just frozen, she told him. Other women on the set later said they hated it too. Melissa Gilbert said that Grassel and Catherine McGregor both didn't like Landon's dirty jokes. It didn't help that he was seeing makeup artist Cindy Clarico, who was a lot younger than him. Even though he was still married, he was very proud of it. Landon didn't just say words, he used his power to punish Grassel even more. She talked about a time when her part became less important. She made a coffee and left in one show. Camera would zoom in on things other than her face sometimes. She'd spend hours putting on makeup and costumes that she would only wear for a short time. Co-stars started to stay away from each other. She began drinking to deal with things. She told him that you would drink too if he was mad at you. Some of this evil came from inside him. Landon's past was very bad. Eugene Ewitz was born in 1936, and his mother had mental health problems and tried to kill herself several times when he was a child. He stopped her from drowning when she was 10 years old. The memory made him feel bad. "It was the worst day of my life," he said, and that pain got into the writing for Little House. By season 3, Landon had written 2 different stories about characters who set themselves on fire to get away from their sadness. There were shocking scenes of violence and pain in these shows that were meant to be family shows. Landon didn't try to hide his wounds. He wrote them on the screen and slammed his hands together to show them. He made fist fights a signature part of the shows he wrote. Critics took note. Stunt people did the same thing. Someone said it wasn't about hurting people. It was time for him to say it. In his scripts, Charles Less would often punch someone out of problems to save them. It made him think of when he had to hit his mother to save her as a child. It became a theme that they let go physically, get rid of the pain. Landon liked acting out these parts himself, not a fake double. It was more than just playing, it was good for you. In spite of everything, Landon worked nonstop. He stayed late, changed scripts, and worked on every scene until it felt right. Cast and workers said he was too strict. Some people believed he was too strict. Some people liked the effects. His daughter once said that the stress of the work hurt his health, but that his hard work paid off. In the 1970s, family TV shows didn't often talk about racism, poverty, illness, or abuse. This show did. In the end, Landon himself was the biggest paradox. People saw Charles Less, a humble father who worked hard. The actor who played him, on the other hand, showed up to work in a Ferrari, wore gold chains, smoked Marlboro, and told inappropriate jokes. One time, Allison Argram said it was like seeing a magician. He was the crazy guy for a second. He was P. Les the next. Then there was the scandal. His 17-year marriage fell apart when he had a romance with Cindy Clarico. Melissa Gilbert was also broken by it. He had been like a father to her. It felt like everything was a lie now. Michael Landon didn't live his life just for fame or TV. Behind the scenes, there was love, mistakes, second chances, and 9 kids from 3 different marriages. It was in 1956 that he married a law secretary named Dodie Levy-Fraser. He took in her 11-year-old son Mark, and then they took in a baby boy named Josh. But they were no longer married by 1962. Not long after the split, Landon married Marjorie Lynn Noy, a woman he met on the set of Bonanza. The family grew even more this time. He took in Lynn's daughter Cheryl as his own, and the 2 of them had 4 more children, Leslie, Michael Jr., Shauna, and Christopher. It was a big family, and they seemed stable for 19 years. But everything fell apart in 1982. What happened next changed the way people saw him forever. Landon met Cindy Clarico and 18-year-old Stan Din on the set of Little House on the Prairie. He was 40 years old. They got too close together. His co-stars began to notice how much time he spent with her. Karen Grassel, who played his on-screen wife, later said that Landon would talk about how beep pollen made his libido come back to life. He also began suggesting books like the one Cindy gave him called My Mother, Myself. There was more that shocked everyone than just the affair. Landon had made a name for himself as America's ideal TV dad. He was leaving his 19-year-old wife for someone younger than his daughter. When the affair became known, there was a huge reaction. Lynn No found out by following them, and she is said to have screamed and thrown a vodka bottle at him. Kodak and other advertisers cut ties. The press went crazy. Landon tried to explain himself in radio and TV shows. He claimed it wasn't in order to lust. He said that his marriage had serious issues. But fans couldn't ignore the difference. On screen, he played heroes and good dads, but in real life, he was living a very different story. Landon married Cindy in 1983, even though things were crazy. It was a family with 2 kids, Jennifer and Sean. He had 9 kids by that time. He was friendly and fun with his little ones. Sean said he had no idea his dad was famous. Jennifer thought it was funny that he talked to her like an adult and even put her down to watch My Left Foot when she was only 6 years old. But it was hard for the bigger kids. His niece Cheryl from his second marriage once told him how much she loved him. Landon stayed with her in the hospital after a car accident that almost killed her. He wanted her to live. Still, the same man broke her heart when he left her mother. Laura on Little House was played by Melissa Gilbert. She was stuck in the middle. I have to work with Mike, she wrote. But he did something that split my world into angry sides. Landon's son Michael Jr. later made a movie called The Father I Knew About Him. It wasn't just a prayer. It went into great detail about what it means to love someone who hurts you. After the incident in 1984, Landon went back to work on a new show called Highway to Heaven. He played Jonathan Smith, an angel sent to Earth to help people. He had the thought while he was stuck in traffic in Beverly Hills. The way people honked made him think, if they would just be nice, everything would work out better. That thought led to a show about faith, kindness, and second chances. The person he played used to be a man named Arthur Thompson and passed away in 1948. The show had 5 seasons and 111 episodes, just like Landon did when he was 54 years old. The angel had problems but still tried to do good, just like Landon. Early in 1991, Landon had terrible headaches while skiing in Utah. On April 5, doctors told him he had pancreatic cancer. His liver was already infected. He was only 54 years old. After only 1 month, he went on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. He was honest about his illness, made jokes about it, and told people not to ignore the signs. He thought that smoking and drinking had something to do with his cancer. He even tried to give up smoking after Victor French, his co-star in Highway to Heaven, died of lung cancer. Landon wouldn't let the press write about his life. He told media they could come to his Malibu ranch on April 8. I don't find this funny, but if you're going to beat something, you're not going to do it standing in the corner, he said, but the press didn't stop. One fake news story even said that he and Cindy were trying to have another child while he was getting treatment. He kept most of the storm away from his kids, especially little Sean and Jennifer, but they still felt it. That house in Malibu was more than just a house. It was a sign. It was a place where artists, friends, and family got together for years to listen to music, have barbecues, and talk for hours. As his illness got worse, that house turned into something more, a last meeting spot. All 9 of his children came home one weekend before he died. It didn't matter what changes there were before. At 1:10 p.m. on July 1, 1991, Michael Landon died at home with Cindy by his side. Before he died, he looked at his kids and asked to be alone with her for a moment. He told them, "I love you all very much, but could you go downstairs and spend some time with Cindy with me?" The funeral for him was full. 500 people showed their respect for him. Ronald Reagan told the world about his fight with cancer, a story that every American could relate to. It was Melissa Gilbert who said he had integrity. Landon's grave is simple and quiet. It says he seized life with joy. He gave to life generously. He leaves a legacy of love and laughter. That grave is at Hillside Memorial Park next to the grave of his adopted son Mark, who died in 2009. There is also a secret memorial near the Malibu cliffs where people still leave flowers, rocks, and letters. His name was added to the National Cowboy Museum's Hall of Fame in 1998, and his star still shines on Hollywood Boulevard at 1500 North Vine Street. But for those who knew him, it wasn't about awards. His daughter Shauna said it best, "Don't wait. There are only so many tomorrows." That's how Landon lived, and that's how he wanted to be remembered. The Malibu mansion he used to live in didn't sell quickly after he died in 1991. It didn't get torn down or flipped like most celebrity homes do. Instead, it sat there for years. This wasn't just any house, it was a huge 7-bedroom estate sitting on 70 feet of Malibu's golden beachfront. It was empty for years after being full of kids, scripts, and parties with lots of famous people. People started calling it Michael Landon's abandoned house. People from all over the world came to see what was behind the gates. Some even brought cameras and treated the place like a shrine. The gardens got wild, sea mist stained the windows, and the wood on the outside started to fade and peel. It looked like nature was slowly covering up the past inch by inch. It was a silent reminder of the man who used to live there. People talked about it on online forums, and real estate photographers took creepy pictures of it. One picture showed a window that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in 10 years, and another showed vines climbing up the sides. Soon the house became a mystery. There was more to the story than that. Landon had sold the house 2 years before he died. It sold for $6 million, which, with inflation taken into account, is about $11 million today. The buyer kept it, and eventually someone took a chance on it. The house was completely fixed up and is now modern, clean, and not at all like the scary shell it had become. In 2014, the property finally went on the market again, and this time it sold for an amazing $40 million. It was a ghost house turned gold mine, showing that even the quietest places in Malibu can come back to life and make a lot of money.